What is up, guys? We're not ready to start yet, though. Soon. What's up, guys? It's Greeny. I'm with Ben again, and welcome to podcast number 2 of Breakaway Abroad. And we got an interesting show for you today. Great guest.
Yeah, so we're going to do the normal thing, let you guys know a little bit about the news that's happening. And then we got somebody very special that's going to come on. His name is Mr. Barry Upton. Some of you might be familiar with Barry already, but we're going to look forward to bringing him on shortly. Let's get into it, Greeny.
So I got to ask you before we get started, is there something going around the Pattaya area? Because I've been coughing since January. You're coughing. Everybody I come across is coughing. Have you got any of you guys that live in the Pattaya area? Does it seem like everybody's sick right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, it's been obviously a big story down in Chiang Mai. I think that
air quality.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not Pattaya, but I think that was just voted like the 3rd worst air quality in the world. So at least we're in Pattaya, we're away from that. But yeah, I've been feeling a little bit congested.
I think I'm just looking out today, and we had to put all these extra lights on because it's just overcast and dreary, and I don't know how much of it is just like cloud cover or pollution. But whatever, let's get into the story. What's new, Ben? Anything new going on this week?
Well, I mean, I think we got to talk. Why don't I let you talk first? You got some story from my neck of the woods that you'd like to talk about. I think
I want to know what the fuck is wrong with you guys. Yeah, did you hear about everybody knows about these 2 New Zealanders that beat up the policeman in Phuket. I mean, wow.
But wait, you
guys are bullies. Like,
you know, I'm not from New Zealand, right?
Where are you from?
I'm from across the pond.
England?
Australia.
But same difference.
Same difference?
Yes, there's no difference.
All right. If there's any Australians out there that would like to comment on Greeny's comment there, please feel free.
If there's any Americans that would like to comment, is there a difference between a New Zealand, what do you guys call them, Kiwis?
There's a Kiwi and an Aussie.
And what's Aussie? Is there a fruit name for Aussie?
Well, we just call ourselves Aussies, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've heard about Aussie, oi, oi.
Aussie one is the only Aussie I know.
Well, I mean, I won't knock you for that. Aussie's a good man.
Okay. So, yeah, anyways, I looked at the picture and I meant to download it and put it on here, but I think most people have seen it. But they got the picture of, one of these guys with the Phuket police officer. And anyways, what happened, if you're not familiar, is they tried to do a traffic stop. These guys fled from Phuket policemen, and eventually he caught up to them and looked like they were grabbing. Looked like they got into it. And at some point, the police officer's firearm was discharged. Nobody was hit. But, the picture that I saw, and, I wrestled in college, and I'm big into, mixed martial arts, like watching and stuff. Obviously, I'm old now, but he had, like, his leg in and a rear naked choke. Like, that was no joke. Like, that was somebody with professional training, and that could have been very dangerous for that police officer. And there was 2 of them in one hand. So I'm just hoping that when the rest of the group got there, that these guys got their.
But what was the premise behind this? I mean, why?
I think it was just a traffic stop. I don't know. I mean, maybe they didn't have a license. Maybe they didn't want a ticket. But I mean, you're in a foreign country. You're not going to win, and you're not going to get away. Just give in and pay your fine and do whatever. Usually if you are polite, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to have to pay a fine. Unless these guys were like carrying heroin or something. You know what I mean? If they had drugs or something more to it. But I haven't heard anything as far as somebody said long COVID.
So my feedback on the situation is quite interesting because, as you know, I mean, I lived in the US for quite a while, right? And you think if an incident like this happened stateside in the US,
Yeah.
be a very different outcome, right? I mean, the pictures that I saw of these guys, and there was actually some video as well, was very graphic.
Oh, this guy said they're saying that the acoustics are really bad. Did they grab that mic and let's see?
So maybe we'll look.
Is this any better? Does this sound better?
Yeah, so anyway, so back to this story. So what I read recently is that these guys could be facing anywhere from 5 to 10 years in jail, depending on how the situation unfolds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, okay, so that's one news story. This is better now? Better, Tom? Yes? Okay. Well, we'll just pass this along. When Barry comes, we'll just hand him a mic and let him do most of the talking. That's the problem here today. There's 3 of us, and I have 2 different kinds of mics, but these ones are only 2, and I couldn't hook them up together. I tried to hook 3 different ones, but if they don't match, you can't do it. So we'll just keep these closer to our mouths and go from there. So another interesting thing that I saw is, you know, the visa for Europe. What is it, the Schengen visa? Have you heard of that? For the UK, I think that's what it's called, Schengen visa. And so now Bulgaria and Romania is being included in that. But what's interesting is Thailand is trying to make a play into that, and they want to make a and this is for you European people, like a brother sister type of relationship with a ASEAN type of visa for Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore, and they want to have it so that Thai people and people from those 4 regions, because like Singapore, they can already go there and they don't need a visa, but Thai people have to apply and get that visa ahead of time and anything. So they're really working hard now on being able to allow Thai citizens to go to Europe like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's
and they're going to try to do the same thing with people with the Schengen to come to these 4 Southeast Asian countries.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So that'd be great for Europeans. And there's a lady in the government here in Thailand that's like her focus. She's working really hard on that.
Very progressive. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And what else has been going on? Anything interesting?
Well, I've been seeing lots of videos of the traffic in Pattaya.
Pattaya. Yeah, I was out last night. The traffic is pretty intense, but I guess that's a good thing.
Well, the music festival, it's just amazing. Every weekend there's something going on, and if you like that, I did go to that Kenny G thing not too long ago. My neighbors.
I went to the Kenny G thing.
Yeah, and it was. I didn't know so many Thai people were infatuated with. Ben sounds great. Greedy sounds like a Lions fan.
Thank you for the shout out. No, but I think that's something that's quite amazing, and it's very fitting with the show that we have today with Barry as well. Right. Obviously Barry has like a long history in music that we'll talk about, but I have really seen since COVID, obviously, like the government here is making a huge push really at turning this into a world-class city. And you do see these events happening in Pattaya, whether they're sporting related or entertainment related or cultural events that are happening basically every weekend. Mm-hmm. So I was checking out the news last weekend because I stayed at home last weekend, but the music festival was in Jomtien Beach last weekend, and they were saying that at 11 p.m. it was like literally gridlocked. Like if you're in a car in Jomtien, you are going to be there for quite a while. So I think that's wonderful, and just there's a vibe and there's an energy to the city.
It's really changing. I mean, they've their plan was to push kind of the red light area back to Soy Bacau and everything, and you still got a little bit of that on the front, but it's just spreading out like crazy, and especially Jomtien. It's just expanding. One thing that I saw recently is they've been building that new football stadium, and it's been like 12 years since they've done any work, but now they're starting to work again. And apparently the 2025 or 2026, the ASEAN, is it ASEAN? How do you say that? ASEAN Games, which is like, not the Olympics, but for this region, and they're going to host it there. So hopefully that stadium will get done. And we were driving around yesterday and just all these new restaurants I'm seeing, and most of them are kind of catered more for probably Bangkok Thais, not really the West, but it really is. I can't even imagine in 5 years what this entire area is going to look like. I mean, they are just building like crazy. So anyways, let's get Barry in here and get to,
all right,
he's going to be a lot more interesting than we are. I mean,
all right, so let me just introduce this guy real quick. So Barry is a very interesting guy. He's had quite a long run in the music industry. He's been living in Thailand for some time right now, which we'll touch on as well. 2009. And he's a great guy. I mean, he's very plugged into the Pattaya scene, and he's a little bit of a personality. Let's just say that. So what we'll do is we'll bring Barry on, and we'll hear a little bit about his story. So Barry, welcome. There he is, mate.
Clip this on here, and we'll let you sound good. And I'll sound like I'm an echo chamber.
There we go.
You start the interview with him. I want to check this video. This video of Barry. You guys get started out, right?
All right. So we're going to try to find a little bit of video for for you guys on Barry. Excuse me. So Barry, welcome to the Breakaway Abroad podcast.
Very good to be here. Very nice view. Lovely view we've got. The viewers can't see that, but we can actually see the ocean from here.
Not too shabby. We wanted to give you a nice sea view during your interview, so enjoy that. So Barry, obviously some of the folks that are watching might be familiar with you. I like that look though. What do you think? Should Barry keep the glasses on or off?
You decide.
So let us know in the comments, and we'll sort that out with Barry. But I think the most All right. I think the most appropriate way to start. Give us a little bit of a rundown, Barry, on where you come from. Just a brief little bit about your background.
Okay, I'll try and make it as brief as possible.
All right.
Okay, I've been playing in bands since I was 16. 21, I turned professional. And I was traveling around Scandinavia and Germany and Italy with my band, having a great time.
I bet.
And then I decided to get a little bit more serious about it. So I joined a band in Wales, but they had a record deal, or a possibility of a record deal. Well, that record deal did eventually come, and we had one single. We made an album, but only one single was released.
But it was perfect timing. Joining the band right at that moment.
There you go.
Yeah.
But this is the funny part, is that I've started songwriting, and the single that they put out, the A side and the B side were my songs, whereas everybody was writing in the band. So I suddenly thought, maybe I can do this. So at that time, the owner of the studio, which was in Marble Arch in London, a big studio, he used to let me have Studio 2 to mess around in, to try things out. And in Studio 1, one day there'd be The Who.
Wow.
Next day would be Kate Bush.
Wow. Next
day the Hollies, And I'd always say hello to these people. And one day, the Brotherhood of Man were in there.
Okay.
Unbeknown to me, one of the guys in the band wanted to leave, but because he had a family and they were constantly touring. And they looked at me and they went, he looks a bit like the guy that wants to leave. And they were really friendly towards me. So a few weeks later, I was playing in a resident guitar in a nightclub, and they were at the top of the bill. And so then they were suddenly taking pictures, I thought, of the band, but no, they were taking pictures of me. And they asked me to join Brotherhood of Man.
Wow.
So I went from there to top of the bill. And some people say, well, it's a lucky break, but I always think with luck, you create your luck by
couldn't agree more.
Getting yourself into that position where you put yourself in that kind of possibility.
Well, that's what they say. It's kind of like, once one door opens, right, like 7 more doors seem to open, right?
Well, it's how you take them, whether you notice that, and which is the subject of my latest video. But anyway, that's another thing. So from there, it was like a university of being at the top level of the music business. And I was able to produce, and I was able to watch the engineer and how they worked, and had session musicians coming in, and I was writing music out for them. It was just a fantastic experience.
Tell me, and you were traveling obviously internationally while all of this was going on?
We were doing gigs all over the place. Save Your Kisses for me was #1 in 35 countries.
Alrighty.
So
if anybody's got any, like, if anybody, is familiar with that song, I mean, obviously, and you want to give a shout out to Barry, feel free to write in the comments. I think Greenie's just popping back now as well. We do have a question for you, Barry. Obviously, we'll continue, but we have obviously like viewers.
I'm an open book.
So Maximus Power has asked, have you ever been on top of the pops?
Yes.
All right, there we go. Do you want to just tell us about that experience?
I've been on a couple of times with acts that I've had songs with in the top 10, but I was also on top of the pops with a guy called John Otway. I had a top 10 hit with him 2002. Called Bunsen Burner, and I was
Bunsen Burner.
Bunsen Burner.
Okay, that's great.
I was always a fan of him. He was one of these unique kind of, not really a comedian, but a funny guy. And I was always drawn to that kind of person. So we became friends. I ended up producing him, and next minute we're in the top 10.
Very cool. Very cool. So there you have it. While we're with Barry, if anybody does have comments, just feel free to call them out. Obviously, we're just going to have a casual chat with Barry. But back to everything. So you've had this obviously great music career over in the UK. You're from, is it Birmingham originally? No, I originally grew up in Luton, and then I moved to Southampton before I came here to Pattaya. Okay.
Yeah, but actually, we didn't actually reach the main part of my musical career.
All right, let's continue.
Which was after Brotherhood of Man, I became a DJ in nightclubs and a producer DJ, which was the big thing in the late 80s, So I was producing in studios daytime, DJing in the nighttime. And that was great. And I had a few hits, which came out of all of that, up until about the early 90s when techno music came in.
Okay.
And I suddenly, all the joy of presenting in nightclubs kind of went. So I was really into songs by then. And so that's when I started going to Nashville for songwriting. And I'd already had hits by then. So I had top writers that would write with me. And I learned even more about songwriting. And that really progressed until I was making line dance country music material for line dancing, which then somebody said, why don't you write a pop song? For kids. And I went, what a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? And so I did. I wrote a song called 5678, became a worldwide hit, #1 in Australia, and 16 weeks in the UK top 20, which was amazing at that time. And I just had, sort of other hits that came out of that as well. And, one, like you said, one door leads to another. And so I just had a fantastic career, really, that, with my fair share of success.
All right, wonderful. Congratulations on that. Okay. So we're just going to pass this back.
Yeah, so we'll share it. You've been doing most of the talking. So you put together like kind of a girl band or like a pop band?
Well, what it was
about a little bit.
I wanted a line dancing band, a bit like the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
But the thing was, guys line danced as well as girls. And I didn't want it to be like Brotherhood of Man, which was 2 girls, 2 guys. ABBA was 2 guys, 2 girls. There's other bands like that. So I made it 3 girls, 2 guys, just to be a little bit different.
Right.
And it worked.
Now, what was the name of that group?
Steps.
And who was more successful, do you think? Brotherhood of Man or Steps? Which one kind of...
Well, Brotherhood of Man won the Eurovision Song Contest, which is a big thing in those days, especially in the late 70s. And probably the more #1s. But since I formed Steps, now they've sold millions and millions of records, had countless albums. And the most unbelievable thing is that 27 years later, same lineup.
Wow. So let me ask you this. So I don't care about the guys in the band, but the girls, you had 3 girls in the band. How many girls tried out? Like how did you determine, how many girls tried out? Okay. Well, the guys and girls tried out at the same time. And when we first auditioned, we had about over 100 auditionees. And we taught them the basic dance first because they had to be able to move. So that was the thing. And I've always thought when I'm putting together these kind of acts, you only need 2 or 3 good singers. They don't all have to be great singers. You do need to have 1 or 2.
But the main thing is that they all move together really, really well. So that's how we whittled them down first. Then I took them into a side room and auditioned every one of them as vocally. And we ended up with 5, like the 3 girls, 2 guys. Unfortunately, the first incarnation, one girl said she wanted to be the lead singer. And I said, no, the band is the star. Not and no individual is a star. That means that if one of you wants to leave or gets a little bit above yourself, whatever like that, easily replaceable. Right, so the band is the star. And that could be why they're still together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that that's a lot of pressure, right? I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I've been to some concerts recently up in Bangkok, right? So you look at, I don't know, if you look at modern music like Coldplay or something like that, right? You do. I mean, you usually have like one standout guy, right? So, I mean, when that guy decides, hey, I want to go off and start a solo career, everybody else is on pause, right? Yeah.
But it's like the Rolling Stones, for example. Every time Mick Jagger tried to do a solo album, it bombed. But with the Rolling Stones, he's a massive star. It's the Rolling Stones that is the star.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Barry, surprise for you. I was able to get one of your songs in here. I think it's a new one. Can you tell us about this video you just made?
Which one? What's it called?
I think the video is...
Oh, the one I showed you earlier. Serendipity.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a strange word because not everybody actually really understands what it means.
Explain what it means.
Well, it's a great word because it means that when fortune comes your way or opportunity comes your way, it's how you deal with it, how you take it. You know, serendipity is just like a blinding light that suddenly, you know, you can either go into that light or you can reject it and close the door. So it's how you deal with it. And the basic lines in the song, which are the philosophical part, is let me get this right. Life is not about having what you want. It's really wanting what you got. So
staying alive is a priority. Being aware of serendipity. I walk by the ocean with a daybreak sky, saying hi to the pretty girls who take my eye. So happy to make a little compromise, appreciating every new sunrise. It's not what you want. It's not what you want. It's not about having what you want. It's really wanting what you got. It's not what you want. It's not what you want. It's not about having what you want. It's really wanting what you got. Waking up with positivity, looking out for serendipity, striving to be the best that we can be, and doing the right thing delightfully. Choices, what to select. Oh, life's so easy when we don't expect. It's not what you want. It's not what you want. It's not about having what you want. It's really wanting what you got. If you wanna be contented, utilize what's presented. Keep on looking for that open door. Serendipity. It's not what you want. really wanting what you got. It's not what you want. It's not what you want. It's not about having what you want. It's really wanting what you got.
Barry, that's awesome. We just actually, that's so funny. Barry just popped over earlier and showed us this. This is his latest tune. So let us know what you think in the comments. Obviously, you can find more of Barry's stuff on YouTube as well. But let's
yeah, we didn't know. I didn't download any of his songs ahead of time because I didn't know what production company, if things are copyrighted, I didn't know what I could put. But this is a brand new video he had just made.
Hot off the press.
So hot off the press. So he hasn't even sent it to his production company or anything. He's just kind of a rough copy that he made himself. So you made that yourself, basically.
Completely. From I selfishly didn't let anybody else onto the track or into the video. It's just all myself.
I love your beachy vibe. Now, all right. So I wasn't, I'm from America and, we're not too familiar with, a lot of the British music. And when I started researching you and looking at some of your videos and the ones with the girls and the beach and everything, I'm thinking like, this is like the Thailand Jimmy Buffett. Now, one of your ones I had seen that you filmed like 8 years ago on Walking Street, Pattaya Wonderland?
Pattaya Wonderland.
Pattaya Wonderland.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the Thailand Jimmy Buffett. Now, how do you feel about that? What if somebody says that?
Well, I'm very honored. I mean, Jimmy Buffett's a legend,
Yeah.
Or he was a legend and sold millions of records. But I like that style.
Yeah.
I mean, and being here, it just seems right to do that kind of thing, with the hat and the girls and the bikini girls and stuff,
Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to ask. Did that song, the Pattaya Wonderland? Did you meet Kevin Thailand, the vlogger that passed away? Did you know him personally, or because he used that song for his?
Yeah. He asked me if he could use it.
Oh, okay.
And I've been happy for people to use it anywhere. And that video that you were alluding to in Walking Street, that was for a TV show. And they asked me again if they could use Pattaya Wonderland, for that.
Oh, okay.
And then they said, "Oh, well, why don't you come down and perform it?" And so I thought, okay, I'll come down. I had no idea when I saw the amazing.
So they set up that production. You didn't set it. You just showed up, and all these people.
I was sitting there and watching all of these crazy things going on for this TV show, and then they said, "Okay, Barry, you're on." So I just went up there, and then I suddenly realized they planned the whole thing.
Wow.
And they choreographed it. And I'm looking around and going, just keep performing. Just keep, but it was amazing. It was just the most amazing event.
How did that, if anybody's watching out there, just real quick, you might want to go on YouTube and Google this because I saw this a while ago, but Greeny actually sent it to me when we were preparing for this episode again. It's quite spectacular. I mean, it
was a big production.
Yeah, I mean, they filmed it on Walking Street, hundreds of people.
How did that change your life here in Thailand? I mean, that must have just been exposed to that many people and that type of production. Did people start recognizing you more after that? I mean, how did that change your life here in Thailand? I want to kind of get into a little bit more because the podcast is breaking away abroad about people moving to Thailand. So, I want to get a little bit more into, why you moved here and just what some of your experiences here and how things have changed. But anyway, so how did that change your life at all? That video?
Well, that incident itself didn't change my life. But what did change my life was when I first came to Pattaya, and I was I was introduced to a guy from WEA in Holland, and we were talking music business. He said, "Oh, you should be a guest on the morning show on Pattaya People radio show." So I went down and I was a guest, and I had done some radio work back in the UK. So then the radio manager came in and said, "Have you done radio before?" I said, "Oh, I've done quite a bit." And he went, "Are you moving here?" I said, "I'm planning to." He says, "Well, you've got a job here." And they gave me a show on the radio.
Wow.
Immediately. So to start off with, that gave me something to do when I came here.
Now, didn't you initially want to come, like, kind of like a part-time thing, and this ended up being the catalyst to just, I'm here, I'm staying here? Is that what happened?
Exactly. I thought I was going to come here for 6 months and then back to the UK for 6 months and do gigs with my band. But the music business was kind of sinking in the UK, same as it was worldwide. But then when I found out that I could actually do work in my studio over the internet, and it was getting more and more technologically feasible to do that. Then I thought, well, I might as well move my studio over here. And then when I started doing that at Paya People, and then I became the morning show host, which was basically getting up early in the morning, which I've never done in my life before, being a rock musician or pop musician.
Right.
But I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought, this is life. This is fantastic, and it gave me a whole new lease of life coming here. So I just grabbed everything. It's like I say about the serendipity thing. I grabbed the opportunity with both hands and made a big thing about it, and I became a personality in Pattaya, and it just felt great. It felt like a community that I really loved being part of.
Right. So I saw your, I did a little research and saw some videos, live or, at your house, and you have a lot of stuff there. Did you move a lot of stuff from the UK? Did you ship it? How'd you get all that stuff here?
Well, just basically shipped it. I had it all in storage, and just one day I decided I'm not coming back here. I love Thailand. So I'm going to ship everything. Well, I sold a few things that I didn't really need, but all my studio and personal possessions, guitars, things like that, I just packaged them all up and just got a courier and shipped it up. It took about 2 months.
They ship it by air, by sea? By sea, okay. And how many, did you have like pallets? Like how much stuff did you bring here to Thailand with you?
Actually, I mean, it all packaged up quite easily. And I would probably say almost like a room full, like a room full.
Now, how much would that cost? Do you remember about how much it would cost to ship all that stuff to Thailand?
It wasn't that expensive. I think it was about something like a couple of £1,000.
Okay. Because people ask me all the time, I've done some videos on moving and like, how much does it cost to ship, this? And do they ship it by air? Do they ship it by sea? I think things are mostly shipped by sea here.
The most important thing is you have to obviously have a carnet where you itemize everything, and you have to show that it's not brand new.
Right.
I mean, if it's not brand new, you're not really importing goods to sell.
Right, just personal possessions.
Yeah. That's the most important thing.
Okay. So you got here and
Comments?
Yeah, there's comments, but I can't read it. It's not even English. So once you got here, where did you initially stay? Did you get a condo? Did you rent something?
Well, this is the funny part. This is the really funny part, because a friend of mine who had been friends with back in the UK, and he kind of brought me out here. I actually came to Koh Samui first for holiday, and he came down and he said, I said, I love it here. And he said, well, if you love this, you'll love Pattaya. So I came and stayed at his brand new house. He'd just watched being built, overseen being built. And it's over there on the dark side, we call the dark side. It's just slightly outside of Pattaya. And I stayed in his spare room. And then the second time I came, I was sitting in the pool with a beer, as you do. And I was looking around, I thought, do you know what? If I moved here, this is exactly the sort of house I'd like. It's got 3 bedrooms. It's got a swimming pool. It's a one level. I don't really like stairs.
Ranch, yeah.
Yeah. And then he dropped this bombshell. He said, "Oh, I didn't tell you. I bought a piece of land, and I'm going to be building a bigger house." And I said, "Sell me this one." Right. And so we did the deal while I'm sitting there in the pool. So I bought a house before I moved here.
That's serendipity.
Exactly. And I thought at the time that because house prices are so cheap here compared to Australia and
Massively.
And how much does it cost in Florida?
I actually thought to myself that if I've made a mistake, this isn't going to be the biggest mistake I've ever made. So It turned out to be the best thing I ever did.
And you've been there at that house how long now?
15 years.
Wow. And it's beautiful. I saw it. If you guys want to see his house vlogging a dead horse, just dropped in on him. That's a funny story, too.
He took me by surprise.
Yeah. Just said, hey, I want to stop by sometime. And next thing you know, he's at his front door and live, like, huh?
Oh, sure.
I watched that video yesterday. It was good. It was a good video, though. And he just shows all your, just so many, things from the past and awards and guitars and just paraphernalia and just music history. It's I got to get over there sometime and look at all that myself. Had you before you came, in the UK, I heard one story you were talking about that you had brought, I think it was steps to Simon Cowell.
Right.
To sign.
Yeah, he's very famous now, isn't he?
Yeah, he got quite. Now, this was before he was famous?
I knew him before he was famous.
Okay.
Actually, he's been very instrumental in my career because he bought me my first studio. And how that happened was there used to be a music trade fair every year in January in Cannes, in France. The Cannes Film Festival.
I've been there.
And I was there giving out my cassettes and stuff, as you would then of your new songs. And,
right.
And I always came away with some kind of deal. But this time I was in the queue for check-in to come home, and this guy turns around, he says, "Oh, are you Barry Upton?" I went, "Yes." He said, "I just heard you talking there." He said, "I've got one of your tapes. I'd like to sign, I'm thinking of signing a couple of your tracks. Can you come in Monday?" And he gave me his card, Simon Cowell. So I went back and saw my manager, and I said, "Do you know Simon Cowell?" He said, "Oh, yeah, I know him very well." I said, "Can you come with me on Monday?" And we sat down and he actually gave me a publishing deal, but he said, "You need to have your own studio." Right. So I would love you to spend all this money that I'm going to give you on buying your own studio, because you're using other people's studio time. You need to have that at home. And he was dead right, absolutely 100% right, because from that moment on, it was so easy. People were coming to me. I had top songwriters. The guy who wrote Delilah, It's Not Unusual, Last Waltz, Kind of Hush, he was in my studio. I've had the guy that wrote Whiter Shade of Pale. All these famous songwriters that were coming to my studio, right. And it was great. It was just like, this is my world.
Right.
And then about a year later, after he'd bought me that studio, I had a top 10 hit through Simon Cowell.
Right. But the story I saw, like, you had taken your group in, and he only wanted a couple songs or something, and you turned him down.
Very well researched. This is a great story. So this is when I was shopping steps around, the group steps, and we were getting turned down by every major label. They said, "No, it's too cheesy. Line dancing won't catch on," and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. How wrong were they? But anyway, Simon Cowell, first of all, he turned it down. Then, as I say, we changed the lineup a little bit, got him in again, and this time he took us into his office and said, "I think that 5, 6, 7, 8 is a hit. So I'll offer you a one single deal, and we'll enter it for Eurovision." So I turned him down. I said, "No, that's not enough. I want at least 3 singles on an album, right. At least minimum. And if it enter for Eurovision, if it comes second, it's nowhere." So I actually turned him down. Now, this is the funny part. A year later, after then, suddenly it was a massive hit, and already Steps have had 2 follow-up hits. I had cause to go into his office with another act. So I walked in there and bravely said, "Just remind me, are you the guy that turned Steps down?" And he stood there, and to his credit, "I know," he says, "I know, I just didn't see where it was going to go after the first single, And he was very honest about it. But now I've had a great relationship with him.
Let me ask you this. So his persona now, on TV and everything, is the same guy back then, or was he, more chill? Like, is he a little bit more hyped up on TV, like a personality persona on TV?
He's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you were serious in the music business, you liked that kind of attitude because there was no wishy-washiness. Mm. I've been to LA many times, and the guys over there in record companies, "We'll call you tomorrow. We love your stuff. It's great." And they don't call. Simon will tell you black and white, "That's great. Don't see it." And that way, where you stand. And it's honesty. It's historic honesty.
He obviously has a real nose for talent. I mean, obviously, just based on.
Well, obviously, he gets some things wrong.
Yeah. Well, the one. You got any questions about moving to?
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you first came when you were in Koh Samui.
Yeah, that was the first place I came to Thailand.
Now, why for you? Why? Because obviously you're coming from the UK. You probably at that point could settle really anywhere in Thailand you wanted to.
Right.
You're in Koh Samui, which is beautiful. I mean, if anybody's been to Koh Samui, you have some comments, let us know. I mean, I'm a big fan of Koh Samui. It's a little bit disconnected, I guess, from the rest of Thailand in terms of, you have to fly in and fly out. But why did you settle on Pattaya instead of being like, hey, I'm in an island paradise, I'll just hang out here?
As I said earlier, this friend of mine, he came down to visit me while I was down there, while his house was being built, which is now my house. And he said, you should come to Pattaya. So I was at the time, I was doing these big projects back in the UK, these album projects. And every time I finished one, I'd come on holiday. So I phoned him up and said, is your house ready? And he said, yes. I said, is the spare room available? He goes, yes. So I said, I'm coming tomorrow. So when I came into Pattaya, my eyes were open to the fact that this place has everything, absolutely everything. And I've never been to a place that had so much diversity. And it's not just the bars. I mean, I've never been a big bar person, to be honest. But I love the feel of the entertainment side of it. But I also love the feel of it. We went to some great restaurants. He took me outside of Pattaya and I saw, the countryside and just what this place has to offer. And I really never been to a place that had just about everything. I mean, I still can't think of what this place doesn't have. And the other thing is, and I'm sure you find it on your greeny travels as well, you keep discovering new things. Doesn't matter how long you're here.
Yeah, I'm always finding new stuff. It's like an adventure every day here. Exactly. Every day I wake up, I don't know. I never plan anything out. Occasionally, okay, I'm going to go to Malaysia. I plan something out, but generally, every day is a new adventure. I never know where I'm going to end up. And I've seen just over here on the other side of Sukhumvit, I run into one time it was like a sex art thing. And it was these giant statues. It was abandoned, but like the craziest thing I ever saw. I just wandered into it, driving down some remote road. Like it was the weirdest thing. It's so abstract and crazy, but it just keeps you interested all the time.
So let's build on that. So you moved to Pattaya in 2009, is that correct?
That's correct.
So how have you seen the city evolve during that period? I mean,
well, it does change a little bit, but basically it's still the same place. You've still got that diversity of entertainment. There's still live music. There's great live music everywhere. There's all kinds of Filipino bands and English and Thai bands. There's some great Thai musicians. But then, you're not very far from Bangkok either. And the number of things that go on in Bangkok are fantastic. Plus, now this is something that might surprise a lot of people, is just outside of Pattaya is a guy who's a classical buff, and he brings classical musicians here. Now, I'm not a classical musician, but I appreciate it and I get influenced by it. So a few days ago, I was at a string quartet.
Where were they performing?
Eel Swamp, which is just outside North Pattaya. It's actually a converted farm.
Eel Swamp,
and he's got this room. Gregory Barton. He's converted this room, which is acoustically perfect, and you have to go through two doors to keep it exactly the right temperature. He's got a beautiful grand piano, and he gets top Russian concert pianists. And if you watch them, they're just staggering. And I always walk out there saying, Pattaya's got so much, plus stuff that you don't even know about.
Yeah, that's the thing that I find amazing. I mean, obviously, I'm a little different because, Greeny's obviously retired. You're kind of basically retired.
I've been trying.
Rolling around. But during the course of my working career, the people that you meet in this area, it is so surprising. I think on the last episode, I talked about, the Cant Studios that's in Bang Saray.
Yes, know it well.
Chris and those guys. But, even from like, Michelin star chef, like there's so many people here that it is surprising. And building on what Greenie said about, going down, this road and that road. I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I had some people over from the US, and they were saying how amazing Thailand is. It's kind of like you turn down a road and it might be like a complete, like almost like a derelict neighborhood. And at the end of the road, there's like a huge house, right? So, I mean, in the US and places like this or UK, you have neighborhoods, right? So this is like an affluent neighborhood. This is working class, etc. Here, everything is literally mixed together.
It's just random.
Yeah.
It's called, everything's random in Thailand. You just never know. So, Barry, have you, obviously you've probably headlined at some bars and restaurants and played music at places.
Well, the biggest one, and I couldn't have done this anywhere else but here, was headlining at the Barapa bike.
Oh, the bike, yeah.
And I played with the guitarist who replaced Slash in Guns N' Roses. He was the headlining act, but I was asked to play in the band with him. We did it 2 years running. And
this past year?
No, this was 2015, 2016.
Okay.
And the most amazing thing is playing in front of 40,000 bikers, on a big festival stage. But there's a funny story here, because after the first year, the guy who was organizing it, he says to me, why don't you and Ron Tal, which is Bumblefoot Tal, which is this amazing, one of the top rock guitarists in the world, why don't you do a song in Thai? For all the Thai people.
Right. And
I went, okay, well, we'll have a go. So I emailed him back and forth, and we came up with a song, which was a famous Thai rock song. And I started getting my girlfriend to teach me it, how to sing it properly. And when we came to rehearsal the day before the festival, I said, so which bits have you learned? He says, I've learned the first word, Om. I went, so that means I've got to sing it. I just still can't believe I did this. The first time I ever sung a song completely in Thai was in front of 40,000 Thai bikers. And I don't ever get nervous, but at this moment I was just a little bit apprehensive, let's say like that. And I had the lyrics down by the monitor, and I was studying, keeping on that. Eventually, 2/3 way through the song, comes to the guitar solo. So I looked over at Ron, and he started playing guitar. So I looked up, and everybody in the front rows was going like this. Wow! They loved it. They loved that connection. And so that was an amazing top.
Yeah, that's quite a festival there. I went, not this year, but last year. And wow, I was blown away. That's another random thing. Like, you're driving on the dark side, and you like no clue that this giant event is there. I mean, I knew it was where I was going, but I had no clue it was that big.
And it's really the closest thing to Woodstock you're going to get, because it's free.
Yeah.
And you have actually Evan Music on here is saying, wow, Bumblefoot, Ron Thai, excellent play.
Well, he's one of the top rock guitarists in the world. And when we were at rehearsal, I was just bedazzled by his dexterity, just unbelievable.
How does that compare? I mean, I've never been to this Barapa Bike Week, but I know, what's the big one they have in the US, the big bike thing?
That's in...
What is that one?
That's the one in, like, Dakotas.
Yeah. If anybody out there knows the name of this, but there's the big bike thing in the US. It's like notoriously famous,
South
right?
Dakota or North Dakota, something like
it begins with S,
but it's not
something S. But I mean, that's what I wanted to ask. What is the etiquette like? So Thailand's a very polite culture, right?
Yeah.
And I would imagine there's a lot of expats at this thing as well. But I've watched a documentary on that one in the US, and it's like very debaucherous, right? So it's like a lot of alcohol, a lot of partying, etc. How is the Barapa Bike Week?
Well, the great thing about, and the unique thing about the Barapa Bike Festival, it's the biggest in Southeast Asia. It's love and peace. This is why it's like Woodstock. Those other bike events, and I know even worse in Australia, they end up fighting with each other, right? And there's a lot of
all the gangs, the Hells Angels, etc.
You have no incidents whatsoever, ever at Barapa. It's love and peace. All the biker communities come together. It's a family. You can take your families. You can take your kids.
And there is, yeah. I mean, it's they got food, they got everything. It's just a huge festival, but it's pretty wild. I mean, I was over in the side area that they had, and these guys are on their little they like to soup up their motorbikes here.
Yeah.
And these guys are doing wheelies. And I saw so many close calls of people almost crashing into each other doing wheelies. And it's just the insanity of everything. You'll just see some crazy things here.
But that's the thing
that you would never see in America. And
it's not all big. So here in Thailand, just for people that maybe are not familiar, when you think about motorbikes in the US or Australia, you're thinking about like Harley, like big bikes, right?
Yeah.
Here in Thailand, like what we would call like a scooter is or a moped.
Well, no, they have all the big
well,
bikes.
the big bikes
They have the big, long nose ones.
And the choppers. But I think what's amazing over here is you do have all these guys that drive these, little Honda Click 125cc.
Yeah.
But they'll modify.
Oh, they fly too. Yeah. And so that bike show, though, it's not just Thailand. I mean, I saw guys from Malaysia, Singapore. I mean, you got bikers, guys come from Australia. People come from all over this region, this part of the world for this
not
bike
a single incident.
It's a big deal.
They do that once a year, right?
Every February. Mid-February,
yeah.
All right, so if you're in Thailand, specifically the Pattaya area in February, check out the Bara Bike Week.
It's an experience.
All right.
All right.
So, Barry, if you had to say like your top 3 things you like about Pattaya compared to being in the West, being back in the UK, what do you think your 3 most redeeming reasons why you would just I don't know, why you just live here and don't want to go back? When's the last time you've been home?
Oh, 7 years ago.
Okay. So you're a fixture here. What's the 3 main reasons why you
Number
love
1,
it here?
warmth. Is that your phone?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
First of all, warmth in the morning. I love waking up and seeing the palm trees and the sunshine rising. That gives you a feel-good factor for the day. That you don't get back in the UK. I don't know about where you are in the US, but or in Australia.
That's right.
Freeze my ass.
But the sunshine, I never complain about it being too hot. I always used to complain about it being too cold back in the UK.
Absolutely.
So that's number 1. Secondly, food. The diversity of what you can get food-wise. You can get anything you want. Absolutely anything you want. Fish and chips. We can get a Sunday roast, and I really there's certain Thai dishes which I absolutely love. Khao soi is one of my favorites.
Love it.
Yeah, which is from a dish from Chiang Mai from the north of Thailand. So food is you can never tire. You've got so many places.
You can't get bored because there's everything.
Yeah. And I would say number 3 is the warmth of Thai people. Now, the great thing about Buddhism, I can't say I'm a Buddhist. I've never been into any kind of religion. I know Buddhism isn't really a religion. But I've worked out that even back in the UK, I used to follow certain Buddhist principles. And one was enjoying the moment, enjoying the day. Today is all that counts, really. You've got to make today count. And the other one is karma.
Yeah.
And I've won some tennis tournaments back in the UK, and this is something I always used to do because a lot of the time you didn't have a referee. If the ball landed like on the line, it could be out, but it could be in. I always gave it in.
Nice.
Right now, I'd then go and win the next 3 points.
Karma.
And I think that's karma. And I think it does work. And so I think over here, it's like me coming to do, you asked me to do this show, right? I come and do it because it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, but it's nice to give that kind of thing back, Thailand's given me so much.
Right.
So I like to give back.
When you started to say, what was the last thing you said? What was your last reason?
The warmth.
Warmth. When you started to say warmth, I heard, I thought you were going to say women. Because nobody would ever think of that.
Yeah, but that goes without saying.
You've had a lady for, you said 9 years now?
Yeah.
And how long did it take, had you dated a few other people beforehand? And then what made you decide that, oh, wow, this is somebody I can really settle down with?
Yeah, the thing is, I had a couple of other long-term girlfriends before that. And but the thing is, you see, people, I'm sure they ask you all the time, where's the best place to meet a long-term partner?
Right.
Not bars.
Yeah.
Right? Stay out of the bars, right? there's a world out there of lovely Thai women who would love to have a Falang partner, but you have to offer something.
Right.
You can't just go to the bar and buy it like a commodity.
Yeah.
If you have that attitude and you're just on holiday, that's great. That's fine. But if you want to be here long term and you want a decent partner, look elsewhere.
But that's the biggest misconception in a way. I mean, I've been living here 11 years myself, right? And I don't find the dynamics, I mean, obviously there are little nuances here and there. I don't find the dynamics that different I'm 44 years old, right? I've been in a relationship with the same person for a while. And I don't really personally find it that much different, right? I mean, be a gentleman, you know what I mean? And carry yourself in the right way. Be respectful. Obviously, as you said, I mean,
that's the big one. That's the big one.
Well, I mean, it's a Buddhist culture, right? So, I mean, having arguments, raising your voice, doing these types of things, I mean, it's not good in any situation in Thailand. But I think, ultimately, I don't find it to be that challenging. You've obviously been with the same person for 9 years. I'm sure you have a very normal home life, etc.
Great. And she loves running. She gets up running every morning and she enters running events and brings home trophies. The room full of trophies is getting bigger and bigger.
And you have a room full of T-shirts. You were telling me before from the runs as well, right?
Yeah. Well, they always get a special shirt for all these running events, and
So Barry wins.
Quite a few. Well, they're in the new. I'm wearing a few of them in that new video.
I saw that your lady sounded like she speaks very good English. Do you speak Thai at all?
A little tiny bit. This is the one thing that I feel a bit embarrassed about, is that I've not learnt enough Thai. But the reason for that is Pattaya is a place where English is the spoken language. Really, I mean, it's the international language that everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
So it makes, as an English person or an Australian or American, you get very lazy.
Yeah.
However, it does help if you learn a few basic phrases. And I always find that if you open up a conversation, with a couple of things. And I've got this little funny thing that I always say, Pompuk Thai Madai, Jin Jin Krup, which means I don't speak Thai, but I've just spoken perfect Thai.
Wait, say that again, slower.
Pompuk Thai Madai, Jin Jin Krup.
Yeah, Barry's got the accent. So Thailand's a tonal language as well. So,
but what that does, that makes them laugh.
Yeah.
And if you make them laugh, then straight away, then they warm to you, and they'll speak English, and they'll try it. And and you can have fun. Thais have got such a great sense of humour. That's another great part.
Absolutely.
That's number 4.
All right, guys, if anybody has any questions for Barry, by the way, because we're getting close, we're gonna wrap it up just due to time. But if anybody has any questions for Barry,
Burgess.
Yeah, we had somebody, I think Randy mentioned that.
Randy and Seal.
And somebody said that there's, Byron said there's a good bike week in Daytona, Florida. I lived in West Palm Beach for a while, so I've heard about that bike week.
All right. Let's take a break for a minute, and let's just show them the future property of the week. We went to a new development. We'll just take a little break for a second, show you guys this. The Skypark, and this is a project that is not even started yet. The exterior, they have like an office and showrooms, but it's Banyan Tree Group, which is
basically this project. They're a big developer. There's the Banyan Tree Group, which is an international hotel group, right? So they have I think 18 banyan trees around the world. Then they have sub-brands as well. But they're very big in Phuket. So they built a lot of residential developments in Phuket. But they're just starting their first development in Jomtien. So it's right on Second Road in Jomtien, prime location. It's going to be 3 buildings, actually 40 plus stories, each building, and then third building's a little lower. But off-plan projects, anybody that's got like a future plan to stay in Thailand, they offer like a 5-year payment plan. So it's something you can kind of like invest in now for later. But why don't we just check out the video, give them a little bit more information then.
And if you guys have any real estate questions, that's why I kind of I'm retired and I can answer a lot of retirement type questions, living in Thailand stuff. But that's why I decided to do this podcast with Ben, because I get so many. I used to do real estate in America, and I love making videos, just showing what's available, showing what properties are here. And that's why I thought it'd be great to do the podcast with him, because he's been in the business for how many years in real estate in Thailand?
Over 10 years now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get a lot of technical questions, and if you guys have any questions about buying real estate or the rules or, just anything related to real estate, this is why we're doing this podcast. So
also about working, right? So, I mean, obviously, if anybody, Greenie's over here, and he's obviously retired, right? So there's lots of options for people that are retired that want to move to Thailand. But maybe, I mean, I came to Thailand when I was, in my early 30s, right? So, I mean, if there's anybody out there that's like thinking they're in the US, they're in the UK, they're wherever, and they want to, change up their life a little bit and move to, like a foreign country and give it a shot, I'm happy to answer questions there as well. But yeah, it's just.
So, yeah, I just went over there and filmed at the model yesterday. And this statue that they have there, this little model of what the building is going to look like, I think it was like 45 floors, 3 towers. I mean, this Jomtien skyline, I got to believe in the next 5 to 10 years, it's just going to be massive. I mean, it's going to look like Bangkok, really. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just heard that they're going to build another mall over there in Jomtien, and there's so many projects. I was just driving down the street yesterday and just saw so many, groundbreakings for projects that are getting started. So it's going to be wild. So this is going to be the place to retire. Pattaya wants to compete and be like Da Nang, Vietnam, and I like Da Nang, but it's a beautiful beach. But Jomtien, it's going to be amazing. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that Jomtien, when I first came here, was a little tired. But now there is a lot of development going on. And I think it's a beautiful beach. That video that Barry shot, I think, was in Jomtien, right?
It's all shot. That's where I go for my morning walks, and that's the whole point of it. Is how wonderful it is to walk down the beach road.
And they've expanded the beach now as well, right? So super wide.
The beach is so big at one end, yeah.
Yeah, they tried to make it like Da Nang, they copied off of that. Those condos we just looked at, so it's studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, so studio, they're a little bit bigger than a standard studio, so like 35 square meters.
Right. A little bit more money too.
Yeah, I mean, it's more money. So, I mean,
per square meter, though, it's not.
Well, here's what you have to gauge things for in Thailand when it comes to real estate really quickly, right? Is you get a lot of comments on this is overpriced, et cetera, et cetera. Look at the price per square meter. And then look at what you're getting. So don't think about the size because it's all relative to what you're paying, right? So the building that we just showed you is like a luxury building. So this is something like if you're buying a condo in, let's say, Miami, okay, in a similar building to this, you're going to be paying 3.5, 4 times what you're going to be paying for this unit.
More than that.
Right? So literally, let's say you get into this project for $160,000 US, let's say example, right? You're going to be paying like $750,000, $800,000 US for the same condo in Miami.
Right.
On top of that, the condo fees, the monthly fees you're going to pay in a condo in Miami that's like that, you're going to probably be paying like $500 or $600 a month in condo fees, right?
And taxes, like here, my taxes here at this condo are $15 a year. So, I mean, some people... My friend lives in Miami, and his taxes, I mean, he's paying like $12,000 a year taxes for a condo, roughly the same size as mine. 12, just taxes.
Yeah. So that's what you've got to keep in mind. I mean, and what we're going to do, I mean, obviously, Greenie and I do some longer form videos on the projects as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring you a range of things, right? So there's different strokes for different folks, right? So if you've got a smaller budget and you're looking for a more budget friendly option, there's options out there. If you're looking for something more expensive, there's options. But we won't get into that here. Obviously, you know how to contact us if you need some information, either through the Breakaway Abroad email address or through Greenie Travels, and we'll be happy to address that. But while we got Barry here, I just did see a comment from somebody that had joined that knew something about Barry. If we just check out that comment very quickly. There, if you've got that, Greenie. Yes, there was somebody that says, I randomly jammed with Barry from the audience at a water park charity event last year. I've got guitars, etc. at my place in Jomtien. I love to find good places to jam. So you jam with a few people around.
Yeah, I'm not a big jammer. The trouble is that the jam sessions, they tend to play the same kind of songs all the time. And I like to rehearse things and do things properly. But there are some very good jamming events on a weekly basis around. I know there's one in Nuclear on a Monday night.
Okay.
And I think there's an open mic night on a Sunday night in Soi Chayapum. So there's quite a bit around, for people to actually, if they want to get up and do something.
Okay, if somebody's coming over here or they live here and they like live music, because a lot of folks watching probably enjoy to go and hear a band. I mean, I know Greenie does, I do. What is the go-to spot in Pattaya area if you want to go and hear live music?
Depends what kind of music. I mean, if you really want loud rock, then Walking Street's very good. Soy Bacau has
the Triangle Bar.
Triangle Bar played there. Yeah,
Are they still playing? I heard there was an issue.
About what?
I thought they had an issue recently where they.
I've not heard any problems.
Maybe they're back. Okay, I think they were. I don't know how long. Maybe 3 days a week. Something happened where they couldn't have music for a few days. I don't know what happened. Neighbors complaining or some issue with.
Yeah,
probably.
But what's your hands down favorite spot? I mean, if you're going to come to Pattaya for one night and you want to go out and hear live music, just give everybody like what's the one?
Well, I have to say the place that I play at, which is Classroom Music Lounge on Soy 13/4. It's on Beach Road, just close to Walking Street. It's on one of the adjoining streets between Beach Road and Second Road.
Okay.
Classroom Music Lounge. The owner there is great. He understands what the a lot of people here, they love oldies. I mean, you're young, right?
I appreciate the oldies.
But a lot of people love 60s, 70s, 80s kind of music. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And so that's what I play on a Thursday. Every Thursday night.
You're playing every Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm there tonight. Yeah. Tonight.
Maybe next Thursday.
All right, so you can check out Barry there. I've got kind of one sign-off question for Barry, then I'll let Greenie wrap it up. Well, I've got just two. What else are you doing in Pattaya? If anybody wants to follow what you're doing, are you still involved in radio?
I'm still kind of running the radio station, 96 FM. It's my playlist, which is always great when I get in the car and it's my.
What is it? 96 dot something?
96 FM.
96 FM.
I mean, isn't that a fantastic thing that how many times is that going to happen in your life where you get in your car, turn on the radio and it's your playlist?
What's your YouTube channel?
Fab Baz Music TV.
How'd you come up with that name?
Well, Fabulous Baz.
Baza.
I use the word fab a lot. It comes from the Beatles time,
Yeah.
And so Fab, and then Baz is like you call me Bazza.
Yep.
Baz, and then Music TV.
Is that a rainbow there?
That's kind of like a test card, like a TV test card.
I'm just. So, in Bangkok.
What's that?
Bangkok. Have you ever been to the Auto Bar? It's a heavy metal bar at Soy 22.
No.
Oh man, I love that place. If you're, I walked in, and it's just these Thai guys with just long hair. They're just basically Metallica, but Thai, and I love that bar. Anyway, I was just curious to know if you'd ever been there.
Is that there's music for everyone. I mean, you've got that heavy metal kind of thing. There's the Bangkok Beatles. They do.
Oh, I love the Beatle band.
I do a Beatles show every second Saturday at the Juju Music Club, and that's with a band. And
where is that?
Juju. It's on Pratamnak Hill.
Oh,
and the band is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm just such a privilege to play with. I've got this Russian bass player who used to be in a Beatles tribute act in Russia. So he knows the songs better than me, even.
And you're singing?
I'm singing. I'm fronting the band, and I'm a bit of a Beatles nut. So,
do you have a website or something online where people can see where you're going to be playing?
Yeah.
Like, do you have a
I don't do
clearinghouse?
well, only Facebook. I always advertise on Facebook.
You have a Facebook page? What
Yeah.
is the page
Facebook page, and all of the gigs are always promoted on
Is
there.
that just Barry Upton? Somebody search for
Just Barry Upton, yeah.
Okay. And they can follow you or whatever
Yeah.
and see. Okay. Well, make sure you stay on top of posting where you're going to be. I'm curious to go see. What's your favorite bar in Bangkok to listen to music?
I don't really go to bars in Bangkok that much. I mean, if I go to maybe some specialist concerts, well, you know,
You've never been to the saxophone in Victory Mall?
no. See, there's jazz, right? And there's jazz events in Pattaya as well.
Mm.
You know, there's a jazz club, a sugar hut. I mean, it's very diverse.
One last question that I meant to ask earlier. When you did come here, had you considered any other places? Like a lot of Brits, you know, what is it? Tenerife and Spain and,
yeah.
you know, what made you, did you explore other places as an option, or you just kind of came here and you're like, oh, I love it.
Okay, in the 90s, when I was going to America, I always thought I was going to end up in San Diego
Okay.
because of that, you know, climate. It was always a good climate there.
Yes.
And I liked the feel of the place. I'm so glad I didn't end up there because
You
it's so
made the right
expensive.
choice. And it's just went downhill.
And it's so much. And at one point, I did consider Dubai because I'd done quite a few gigs in Dubai. But again, when I came here, there's not that oppressiveness that you have in somewhere like Dubai.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, I was doing some shows for Pattaya people, interviewing people about doing what you're doing. You know, why did you come to Pattaya? What do you like about Pattaya? And I said that I always used to end up with, is there anything you don't like about Pattaya? And this guy looked at me and went, no. And I went, how's that? He says, and he basically summed up Pattaya in 2 words. It's wonderfully chaotic.
Yes. Well, you know, my only complaint is, and it's not just, it's Thailand as a whole, is the air quality. You know, sometimes it's good. Sometimes we have stretches where it's just not that good, and that bothers me a little bit. But, you know.
But the good thing is
I think the
here,
pluses and minuses.
and here you're breathing in ocean air. That's good.
All right, I've got one last question for you. So this is a fitting last question. So look, if you had advice for somebody, I mean, obviously we've all, you know, made a move. If you had advice for somebody that just wants to move abroad in general, so maybe they're living wherever and they're looking at maybe moving somewhere exotic in Europe or Central America or Thailand, Asia, etc., and they're just on the fence, what would your advice be?
Well, first of all, make sure you've got enough money behind you. You know, if you don't have that, but you say you have a house, sell a house, you know, if you're going to be a retiree, and put that money in the bank, have that money behind you so you've got something to fall back on. Then come to Pattaya. Don't buy like I did. I was very lucky. I made the right decision, but rent in a few different areas so you get the feel of the place. Maybe even on the dark side as well, which is the other side of the circumvent, which is just outside of Pattaya. There's a big community out there. And if you've got a motorbike or a car, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes to drive into Pattaya. Mm-hmm. And everything's half the price.
You know, that kind of fine to kind of like try out different areas before you make it permanent.
Yeah, but don't just think that being in downtown Pattaya is where you have to be.
Yeah.
There's, as you know from being in the property business, there's a big variety of places to go.
And that's what a lot of people that come here on a trip or short term, you know, and they don't drive a car or a motorbike and they just come to Central Pattaya and they stay there and they don't really see just how much there is to offer in this area.
It's a big place.
You know, you see like you're on the dark side. I'm way down here, but it's the same. In 10 minutes, I'm in Jomtien, you know, and I mean,
but Byron actually said so. Jomtien is the place to be, which is fitting on that. So Jomtien,
it's growing big, yeah.
Jomtien is obviously a fantastic area, but as Greenie was saying, I mean, we're literally where we're sitting right now. We're about 10 kilometers down the coast from Jomtien, down the coastline, so we can actually see Jomtien from where we're sitting.
Oh yeah,
and it is so diverse. So I've recently moved out to the dark side area as well, where Barry's staying, and I really was unfamiliar with that area, but I'm very surprised. I mean, it's very local. Obviously, you see like a lot of foreigners.
Great restaurants. We've got everything there. Great supermarkets.
Yeah.
And it's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Very underrated. I mean, there is everything there. Everything.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can go out to the lake, and some of those restaurants out there are some of the best in Pattaya.
The lake is fantastic.
Yeah. So, all right.
Alrighty, well, I think that does it for today. We've got a special show planned for you next week as well. So we've got another special guest on. So we'll get that out to you in advance.
Hey guys, just leave a comment if you watch this after, whatever. What do you think? Right now we're broadcasting 10 a.m., which is like 11 p.m. East Coast in America. I'm considering maybe switching it to a nighttime show here, so it's morning in America. Let me know what you guys think. Would that be better to watch it when you're at work? You know, can you watch it at work? Can you? Because I saw some other live shows and they seem to do pretty good when it's morning time in America. Let me know what you guys think. Just food for thought. You know, for us to bring in guests, it's easier during this time here, but maybe we'll pivot. Maybe we'll do more remote on the computer. Just want to get some ideas. Food for thought.
And then obviously what we want to do is say a big thank you to Barry. So Barry obviously woke up. Yeah, wake up, Barry. Barry woke up early this morning to get down here. So really,
I'm always up early.
Cup.
Fair enough. Indeed, Cup. So yeah, Barry, thank you so much for coming on, because I literally gave Barry a call and he didn't even ask me. He just says, yeah, absolutely, I'll come and do it. So cop and cup, Gary.
My pleasure.
Barry, sorry. I'm back in my Aussie mode. Okay.
Cup and cup.
Cover.
Okay, guys.
All right. Cheers, guys. Ben out. Barry out.